Hi guys, Lord here. This video is about why I think the Minutemen are the best faction to side with in Fallout 4. Both because I think they're the most morally right faction, and also because I think that despite popular opinion, you can turn them into an extremely strong faction that's strong enough to rule the Commonwealth, better than all the other factions. So let's begin. You see, the problem with all the other factions is that they have their own goals and are only into helping those who can help them in accomplishing said goals. The Railroad, for example, they are a morally good faction as they want to save synths from being enslaved by the Institute. And personally, in my opinion, I think the Institute's enslaving of synths is wrong because, one, I think the Institute in general is just evil and not dope at all, but we'll get to that in a minute. So in my opinion, I think the Railroad have a good goal. However, what I don't think is that this is the mindset that can run a nation. Just for argument's sake, we'll call the Commonwealth a nation, because their goal is to protect synths. That's what they were created for. Not to protect the Commonwealth as a whole, just the synths. Obviously, if they take over the Commonwealth, obviously their ideology can change to protecting the Commonwealth as a whole. However, I feel like it's just too late for them to just change their mindset to one that's eligible to run a country. Again, we're just calling it a country or nation just for argument's sake. The Commonwealth isn't really a nation. The Brotherhood of Steel, also, they are very dictatorial in my opinion. They very much look down on the common folk. They extract tribute from the common folk. And for those who cannot help them, they mark as an enemy. Even yourself. And if you meet with a Brotherhood of Steel soldier, even if you are the guy that destroyed the Institute, and kind of a big deal in the Commonwealth at the moment, since you are not a member of the Brotherhood, they will have nothing to do with you. They will refer to you as just a common wastelander, and will tell you to get out of their way. Because, in my opinion, I think the Brotherhood will only support those who will help them with their goals, and anyone who gets in their way, they will dispose of, or at least not take kindly to. The Institute, now they, in my opinion, are extremely evil. They are not dope at all. They get 0 dope points. And by dope, I mean like swag cool. I do not mean the weed. Please. Susan, calm down. As they have the same mindset as the Brotherhood of Steel, except on a much worse scale. They are hostile to anyone who isn't a member of the Institute. Not even the Brotherhood of Steel can say that. They won't attack you unless you become hostile to them. The same goes with the Railroad. They'll only attack you if you become an enemy of them. The Minutemen don't attack you at all. Except I'm not using that to defend my point with the Minutemen, because there's a specific reason they don't attack you, because they're not really a faction, and the only time they do really become a faction is when you're the leader, so of course the Minutemen don't really attack you, ever. But the Institute, like I said, they will attack you on sight unless you become a member of the Institute. And the same goes to anyone who tries to get in their way. Entire settlements are wiped off the map. In fact, settlers are replaced by synths, and the original people being killed just because the Institute needs that synth for a specific task. If there's something the Institute wants done, but they need one of their synths to pretend to be someone, they will kidnap and most times murder that person and replace him with a Gen 3 synth that replace them to achieve their end goals. The Minutemen are not like any of those factions. They will go out of their way to protect all innocents and defenseless from those who would try and take from those. They will go to anyone's support and any time they can. And the good thing about the Minutemen is, unlike pretty much all the other factions except maybe the Railroad, the Minutemen do not discriminate. Even when you attack the Institute, they will go out of their way to remind you to radio the evacuation signal. You can still do it with the other factions. I'm not saying it's not possible with the others, but they are the only ones that remind you to do it and make it a part of the quest on your Pip-Boy. And if you don't radio the signal, Preston is absolutely pissed. He does not think you are dope at all. And he stays like that for the rest of the game. He will hold it against you for the entirety of the game after that point. Like in one of my playthroughs, I ended with the Brotherhood of Steel. It was my very first playthrough. I didn't radio the signal, and he was like pissed, and he remained pissed. Like every time I talked to him, he would complain about it. At first I thought it was a glitch, but come to think of it, I think just because he can't forget about it, I feel like this is actually an intentional thing done by Bethesda. And another thing is that if you destroy the Institute, but you do radio the evacuation signal, then there is a chance that Preston Garvey will give you one of his quests to meet up with a group of escaped Institute scientists and find them a settlement to live in because they can't find a home, and because they are no longer the enemy, the Minutemen agree. Okay, well, you don't have to agree. You can tell them to F off if you still hold a grudge against them, but Preston Garvey will not like it if you do. And once again, that's because those scientists, since the Institute itself was destroyed, those scientists are no longer a part of the enemy. There's no enemy to be a part of anymore, and so they are harmless, and the Minutemen are all about defending those who are harmless. Okay, so one of the biggest reasons the Minutemen aren't really a popular faction among the Fallout community is because when you find them, they are the weakest faction, and if you choose to join them, you are given the responsibility of building it from the ground up. However, back to morality for a second. The reason they are such a weak faction when you find them is because they were the only ones that were going out of their way to fight back against those who would try and steal and oppress the defenseless, such as raiders and gunners. The other factions, the reason they're not so weak is because they only have to fight enemies when said enemies become an inconvenience to them. And so, unlike the Minutemen, the other factions aren't always constantly fighting against raiders and gunners because they never have to. Now, on to practicality. Yes, the Minutemen do have very good morals, but what's the point of having a good morality if you can't put them into action? How can a faction sustain when it's only just you and some guy who loves to help settlements? Well, like I said, you were given the responsibility of building that faction from the ground up. Yes, it is such a big responsibility. However, if you are a really serious Minuteman, if you really do believe in the ideals of the Minutemen and their ideologies, and you do want to go out of your way to defend the entirety of the Commonwealth, and for all those reasons, you are willing to take up that responsibility, you can not only put the Minutemen back up on their feet, you can make them the strongest faction out of all of them. You can make them rule every settlement. If they're the faction you finish the game with, they're the ones that occupy Diamond City. If you gain every settlement, literally nowhere is safe for raiders and everywhere is safe for innocent settlers. And not only is that the only benefit of getting every settlement, you then have more territory than all the other factions. I'm gonna quote Oxhorn here. You see, the thing with the other factions is that all of them only have one place of operation. The Brotherhood of Steel and the Commonwealth, you just have to blow up their blimp and then they're gone. The Institute, invade the Institute's underground laboratory and blow it up. The Railroad, just invade the church and wipe out everyone there. With the Minutemen, however, bruh, if you manage to gain the support of all the settlements, then that's pretty much the entirety of the Commonwealth that the other factions say that they went to war with the Minutemen would have to deal with. And that is today's video, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like. In the comment section, tell me if you agree or disagree, and tell me what you think is the best faction and why. I'd really like to know. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more lore videos such as this one. I upload 3 times a week. Feel free to follow me on all my other social medias, including my Discord. My Discord has been quite upgraded a lot, so it's a much more fun Discord than when it first started. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.